We want to update an ongoing research project here at Oklahoma State University. We're joined by Jason Warren, who is our Soil Conservation Extension Specialist. And Jason, we've been out here a couple of times with Dave Lawman talking about the cattle aspect of this project. But give us an overview and kind of tell us what your role is in this project.
Right. Well, this is an intensive cropland grazing systems project, and my main role out here is to help the animal science folks implement a successful no-till system on this cropland. And so this is a continuous graze out wheat system, and then we're adding summer forage production to that system. In the past, like last summer, we had sorghum sudan, cowpeas, and sun hemp from the aspect of incorporating a cover/forage crop. And that worked pretty well, but then this year they asked us to put crabgrass out here, and that, you know, there's a lot of acres of this graze out wheat that will have crabgrass on it in the summertime, but there's not a lot of research on it. And so this year what we did is we top dressed the wheat in March with about 70 pounds of nitrogen, and in that we had a mix crabgrass. Once the cattle are in here and they start to graze this off from, say, April through May, the crabgrass starts popping up in the areas where the cattle have taken more forage off the wheat, and so that bare ground is then covered by the crabgrass. But on these higher, sandier soils where we don't have drainage problems, we had a carpet of crabgrass in here by about the 15th of May, and they had cattle in here certainly by the 1st of June, and they run them through the 10th of August. So instead of having just say December through May grazing on the wheat, we add June, July, and a portion of August with this crabgrass. And then the question is can you no-till into that? And if you look out here into this wheat, we have a beautiful stand of wheat that was planted into this crabgrass residue.
Now, in terms of the crabgrass, you mentioned a few of the pros and cons. Go into that a little more.
Well, and I'll start with the cons, and I didn't mention this, but this is not a system that I would, want our prime cropland that's growing corn and beans and, 50, 60 bushel wheat for grain. This is a graze out program. And so this is going to be on your ground where you're going to be grazing that wheat out most often or every year, because what we hypothesize is that we are losing a lot of our moisture in the summer fallow period, and in a traditional graze out program we'll graze that through, say, the second week of May, and then we'll till it up and leave it fallow. And that is very hard on ground, particularly when we take the wheat, all the wheat away, and we just have bare ground, and then we till it all summer. Because we talk about residue and organic matter in our no-till systems, but when we remove all the surface residue through grazing and then till it, that's much worse on a piece of ground, from my observation anyway, than just growing grain and then tilling it. And so that soil tends to be very poorly structured. It's very susceptible to crusting and a lot of other soil problems. And then all summer long it's evaporating water.
And are there already some takeaways that you're able to pass along to Oklahoma producers?
Well, for one thing, crabgrass doesn't like wet feet. It'll come up sporadically through the spring as the ground warms, but in these continuously grazed systems, we're taking advantage of the summer rainfall, which is actually tends to be more prominent these days than what it has in the past. And then if we can get the September rains to recharge this soil, then we can get a pretty nice stand of wheat. Where we have very heavy residue, we're going to see a little bit of a delay in forage production. And so some of the best wheat growth out here is where we have nearly 100% ground cover, but we only have maybe a 1/2 inch to 1.5 inches of thatch to cut through.
All right, Jason Warren, thanks a lot. We appreciate the update.